because he told another guy that he had yellow shoes. They were in the restroom, at the sink, I imagined, and my cousin was happy he had a job and a new woman, so happy that he wanted to talk. Jesus made the mistake of looking down at this guy's shoes and saying something. This guy pushed a dirty blade right into my cousin's clean heart. Or so I heard. I tried not to think about Jesus or Juan or my father and uncles, all of them on their racks of black earth. But on those days when I saw the mortuary students huddled together, I couldn't help but think of them. I shook off those images and opened the door to my apartment. Roses flowered near the living room window, sweetening the entrance. I had no more than a couch and 2 chairs, college books that I intended to resell, a bed and dresser, and family pictures angled so they almost looked at each other. I had a print of a ship riding the ocean, its sail full, going somewhere. It was fake art, the kind of thing you can pick up at a swap meet or get as a gift when you buy a gaudy red sofa from a Mexican furniture store. The apartment was stuffy, hot. I turned on the swamp cooler, poured myself a glass of cold water from the refrigerator, and sat down with a sigh on the porch steps. I got up and checked the mail slot. Nothing. Just a reddish rust stain on my fingertips. There never was anything, just junk mail and my gas and electric bill. Even my mother, who lived in Merced with her sister Gloria, who had hearing aids and both wrinkled ears, seldom wrote. I sipped my water while studying a red ant that was hauling a white speck, the bread of its living, pinched in its mouth. I chuckled. The ant was earning his keep. "Keep running, little dude," I muttered. I told myself to keep a steady weight on my shoulders and to stay out of trouble and run a straight line. To stay away from the police and the rumblings of vatos who have nothing to do. To get by, I stenciled address numbers on curbs. I had started doing this after an uncle from Los Angeles said it was good money. He didn't have to show me how. I bought spray cans of black and white paint and stencils, and usually worked the north part of Fresno, where there seemed to be more money. The lawns were deep and very green, and the flower beds saluted with all kinds of fist-like flowers. Most of the people were white, not Mexican. Most people there keep to themselves, not like here in my area of southeast Fresno. We sit on front porches, our gaze following anyone who comes into our neighborhood. We know each other, marry each other, and hurt each other over small matters. Bad as things are, could be, we never commit suicide like the gabachos who can't take it. We live to the end, even if the end is when you are 19 and crumbling on a dirty floor. I drank my water, got up and went inside to wash my face. I stood before the mirror, raised my eyebrows so that 3 lines wiggled across my brow. I studied the lines, fissures that would deepen as I got older. I wasn't unusual, neither handsome nor ugly. My face was no different from the face of a brown person lucky enough to hold down a city job, like the person collecting litter along the freeway. I washed with scoops of cool water, and for a second, imagined that I was being washed over by a wave. I dried my face on a towel that was bright orange, just like the vest I would wear if I did hold down that city job. I went to the garage to get my bike. My stuff, the paints and stencils, a piece of cardboard and a rag, a length of chain to lock my bike, was in the basket. I walked my bike to the front yard. The street was deserted. It was 11 o'clock, and already everyone had retreated inside, either to get away from the heat or to tune into the Mexican soap operas, telenovelas. I straddled my bike and sat on the seat, not wanting to go. But I forced myself, pushed on the pedal, because, like that red ant, I had to come home with my own crumbs. I rode the length of the driveway and into the street. The neighbor's dog, a German shepherd with a burnt black nose, eyed me behind his milkish cataracts. He didn't bark. He just followed me with his eyes, as if I were up to something interesting. But the business of painting curbs is just a matter of ringing doorbells and humbling yourself by asking the owner, old man or old lady, if they'd like you to put some numbers down. It's not high math, since the same numbers are used over and over. It's an easy job, the kind that shouldn't really exist. I mean, whoever gets so lost that he can't find his house. Even drunk, we stumble on home. I didn't get far, just about a block, when I heard my name. Eddie! I glanced over my shoulder, slowing but not stopping, because if you stopped and it was your enemy, your life could spill like soda right on the black asphalt, spill before you could touch your wound. I never ran with gangs, never kicked it with weasel-necked vatos locos, but you had to be careful, quick as a rabbit. Once a dude pointed you out in a 7-Eleven parking lot or some filthy gas station, there was no mercy, no time to explain that you were a father or a good son or an altar boy with combed hair. But it was Lupe, a guy from high school, another one of Jesus's friends, a homie who used to do glue and paint with my cousin in junior high. They used to trip together. I saw them, their mouths gold and their tongues red. They were just tripping, using up their time on earth. "What's up?" I called. My chest heaved like a frog, and the skulls of my knuckles popped through my skin as I gripped the handlebars. That's how tight I was. Lupe always brought trouble, or he was asking favors, mostly money. If you didn't have coins on you, he would hit you up for the sunflower seeds in your pocket. Lupe crossed the street, looking both ways, but not for traffic. He was looking for enemies. Careful. Always careful. We shook hands. The inside of his arms were blue with spidery tattoos, the sign of someone who was covering up the needle bites. "Angel wants to see you." I looked away for a moment. The street was quiet, disturbed only by the hiss of lawn sprinklers. Behind one of the doors, a baby was crying like a siren. I ran a thumb over the sweat that was already flowing from my brow. The sun was coin bright and merciless. Not yet noon, and it was already tugging at the water inside us. "I don't want to see him," I said, not facing Lupe fully, my head turned so that I could keep my eye on things. "He wants to get the creep who did your cousin." Lupe looked down at the basket on my bike. At any other time, he would have joked that only girls had baskets on their bikes. This was not the moment. "He can put the cabron away on his ear, shut his face forever." "No way. I don't want to see Angel." "Come on, Eddie," Lupe pleaded with outstretched arms. "Angel needs your help. ¿Entiendes?" My tia Dolores, Jesus's mother, wanted me to settle matters too. She wanted me to find the guy and ice him. But I didn't know how, really, how to find him or how to stick him once I did find him. I figured God would do that in time, God or some homie. But tia kept at me, kept calling and leaving piles of homemade tortillas wrapped in dish towels on my steps. I ate the tortillas and folded up the dish towels, piling them in a closet. When she called, she sobbed and begged me to do something. I didn't answer the telephone these days. "Where's Angel?" I asked after a moment of silence. "The playground." Homies hung out in 2s and 3s at Holmes' playground, mostly sitting in the shade, mostly staring at anyone who was not from there. The Hmongs knew to stay away, hanging at Romaine, and the Blacks had other places to go, mostly pulling their squeaky VWs in circles on the west side. Most whites didn't even consider coming by, or if they did, they were so Mexican in manner and dress that they were like us. The other whites, the ones who looked like they were models for Kmart shirts and Bermudas, they came at night to play baseball on our first-class diamonds. That's when the refs showed up, and the cops with their helmets blue as heaven. "That's my message, Holmes. I ain't involved, really." Lupe told me to be cool and left in a light jog, pulling up his khakis as he skipped up over a curb. I watched him disappear into an alley. I thought that one day, maybe soon, he would enter that alley and never come out. Just disappear in the vapors of another hot and vicious day. I started over to Holmes' playground, and for a crazy moment, I thought of that red ant with the white flake. Keep straight, I told myself. Don't mess up. Angel is a gangster. I rode over to the playground, Club Med for those with time on their hands or those who had already done time as pintos. Noon glared like a handful of dimes. Sweat darkened my underarms. Sweat rolled under my